There are always a lot of updates coming to Azure Data Factory. Get updated, see some demos, and learn how to get more involved this week on Data Exposed. Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this episode of Data Exposed. Today we have a very special episode planned. We're going to bring the Azure Data Factory team on to tell us all about what's new in Azure Data Factory. So without further ado, I want to bring on Noelle, a program manager from the Azure Data Factory team. Noelle, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're really glad to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on the show. It's been a while since we've gotten our fix of Azure Data Factory updates, so I'd love to just pass to you and learn more.
Yeah, so every month we release a lot of new capabilities. And if you take a look at this page, we've got a little blog that says what's new in Azure Data Factory. And this is something that we update every month so that the users are updated and the community in general is updated with what we've been working on. Our product group and engineering groups have been working really hard to make all these great updates. So definitely check on those. As you can see, in January, we made a lot of improvements to data flow and a lot of data movement capabilities. And in February, we've got some really interesting features as well. Today, I've also brought in two of my team members, Mark Kromer and Abhishek Narain. And they will be demoing some really cool capabilities that will really improve your productivity.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Noelle. And exciting that we have more guests. It's kind of a special thing to have so many people on. First, we're going to bring on Mark and Abhishek. And I think, Mark, you're going to get us started and tell us a little bit about something specific that's new in Azure Data Factory.
Yeah, that's right, Anna. Thank you. And thanks, Noelle. So glad to be back. And what I want to do is talk to you about a specific feature that we just recently launched in Data Factory as part of mapping data flows, and it's called Flowlets. So what Flowlets do for you is allow you to build composable units or reusable units of logic within your data flow that then can be reused in other parts of your data factory. So it makes for a very nice a composable set of units. And if you have logic that you reuse many times within your data flows and your factories, now you can make those as what are called flowlets, and then you can reuse them. So they're self-contained. They can be added as another transformation as part of your pipeline in your data flow. So that all being said, let me spend another minute or two just to show you what that looks like. So on my screen, I have a fairly complex, medium complexity, I would say, in terms of a data flow, but I've shrunk that down to size so that you can see how this would fit in a single screen. And there's a lot of different things going on in here, right? I have sources. I have actually one source in here. I have a couple of sinks and a bunch of transformations in the middle. This is actually a deduping data flow within Data Factory. And it's very common. I do this a lot within my work. So what I want to do is I want to take this without the source in the sink. I just want the logic in the middle that's performing all of the deduping logic, and I want to make this something that's reusable. So how would I do that? So I'm in my Data Factory UI in the browser, and I'm going to turn this into a flowlet. And so I can grab this entire section of the data flow that is not the source and sink. Everything is highlighted. With a right-click action, I can say, create a new flowlet. It's simple as that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to land it into a new screen that looks just like a data flow, but it is a special screen. You'll see the icon indicating this is a flowlet. Then give this a name that is going to be, it's going to indicate that this is something that's reusable, or this is a flowlet. Now you'll see that there are new sets of transformations added automatically for me called an input and an output. And this is going to allow me to describe essentially a contract. So think of this as a function within a code sort of paradigm. And I have to describe the parameters or the signature for this flowlet of what's going to come in and then what is going to come out. So I'm just doing auto mapping. Everything that comes in and gets created is going to also come out. What this means is I can now map this into another data flow and I can reuse this. So let me show you what that looks like. This is my flowlet. And I can come over into another data flow, and I can use that exact same dedupe logic, the one that was a huge, hard to read graph on my previous screen, and I can now add that into this data flow. This data flow that you see on my screen does the exact same thing as that large graph because I'm using this flowlet right here. And the flowlet points to the flowlet that I've created and does all the logic for me. So the way you add it is you click plus anywhere within your data flow graph, and you choose the flowlets transformation. And then you can pick from your list of flowlets. And all of your flowlets will show up here on the left side under data flows, and they have the icon that indicates that is reusable as a flowlet. And yeah, so that's a quick flyover of what the new flowlet feature is within data.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. That's really cool. You know, I think like a lot of developers are taking this microservices approach, and this is kind of reminds me of like a microservices approach for Azure Data Factory, which is awesome because you can reuse those things, especially the complicated things, over and over again. So
yeah,
thanks so much.
Exactly, and you can reuse it, and I would say too is like minimize this work, right? So this is fairly hard to see because there's so much going on in here. But take that detail, scrunch it into a flowlet, and then reuse that, and it has this nice sort of orientation now where it's only this size on your graph, and so it also makes it something you can shrink down all that logic into a single unit. Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks so much, Mark. Cool. That was a great demo. I think we have one more demo planned for today. For that, I'm going to bring on Abhishek. Abhishek, why don't you take us through what's new?
Sure. Thanks, Hannah. So today I'm going to talk about a new activity which we're introducing in Data Factory, and that's called the script activity. It's similar to the execute SQL task in SSIS, and it basically lets you execute common operations like DML, DDL statements. DDL stands for data definition language, in case if you are deleting a table, dropping a table, or creating a new table. And these are common operations as part of your ETL journey you face while you use data flows for transforming the data. At times you do need to kind of drop tables, alter tables, and run certain execution commands on top of the tables. And so with this script activity, you will be able to do that. And until today, we had other workarounds using stored procedures, lookups, but now you have a native script activity using which you can execute these commands directly against Azure SQL Database, Data Warehouse, Synapse Analytics, including Oracle and Snowflakes. So here we go. Here's a quick demo of it. You can see I'm checking for certain tables and dropping it if it already exists, and then going ahead and creating just a sample. This is just a sample demo. So in this case, we're just going to add a few rows into the tables, and you can see there's different kinds of cars, creating a cars table. And there's a sedan, convertible, coupe, van, and it has prices along with it. So what we will do is we want to quickly find out and so the first execution basically creates the table into the system. The second one runs a slightly more complex query in SQL, of course, and everything is in line, which means you get the wellness of CI/CD as part of your Data Factory pipelines. All the CI/CD, all the code goes into the metadata Git that you use in this Data Factory. And so everything gets stored in there and it goes across environments. And that's one of the key things. Many customers use this for populating their test data across environments while doing CI/CD and data ops. So you can do that pretty much now. And in this example, we're just writing this query, getting some data. And then the second part of the demo that I wanted to show here is how we can easily consume this data coming out of the script into a downstream activity using the new expression builder enhancements that we have done. So what I'm doing is I'm going to send these information, the output of this query, which basically returns only 2 rows, actually. So we are fine with that. And these are top 2 best deals in terms of car. And I'm going to send that on a Teams channel, just as a demonstration in this particular case. And so while doing that, I set up a new Teams channel pipeline. And this is where you have expressions, and expressions could be complex for any data engineer. And so with IntelliSense, we actually make it super simple to detect problems in your expression, not just while authoring it. So IntelliSense, of course, helps you with authoring. The moment you start typing things like expressions at pipeline, you start to see the whole grammar in it. So you can easily just go ahead and type things, press tab, and then start to see all the methods. So of course, it makes it super simple. But beyond that, it also helps you detect problems. In this case, you can see it shows a squiggle, says there's some problem and lets me quickly fix that. So I'm just going to fix this, and let's see, it says rename to pipeline. Seems like there was a variable with the name pipeline name, and I had probably spelled it wrong, and it just fixed that for me. So this is the IntelliSense support that we added on, which makes productivity much more better. And now coming back to the pipeline and quickly hitting on the run button, and that should basically send us the Teams notifications out, and it should take a quick few seconds. And we can see the script activity executed in just a few seconds. It's a quick execution that happens. There's the third activity, which is basically sending the top 2 cars that was found in the deal as part of the Teams notifications. It's going to take a few seconds, and I have the notifications on my side. Quickly, let me share that one as well. So bringing up my Teams notification, you can see it basically popped out a couple of values, top 1 and top 2 over here. And that was probably the quick demo that I wanted to show. Back to you, Anna.
Awesome. That was so cool. I can think of so many ways that I can use this new scripting capability. And of course, IntelliSense is really going to help me because I always need that. So it's great that you guys are thinking about that right from the beginning as you're kind of building this out. I also like the example. I know this wasn't a new thing, but I didn't know you could hook up Azure Data Factory to Teams. So I'm always learning new things. So thanks so much for sharing that with us. Wow, this has been a packed episode. I've learned a lot. So just thank you all for coming on the show. Noelle, as we wrap, are there any final tips and tricks or call to actions for our viewers?
Yeah, if you'd like to see some more demos about some of our latest capabilities, definitely check out our YouTube channel. It'll be in the description below. You can check out all the pre-recorded video that we have. Mark and I will also be doing a live stream on March 7th. So that would be interesting for you to join as well. And on our Twitter, we're often retweeting different blog posts for you to check out and read. And we also do some updates letting you know when there are new product releases as well.
Awesome, cool. Thanks so much, Noelle. To our viewers, thanks for joining us today. Seems like there are a lot of action items if you guys want to get more involved, stay up to date on Azure Data Factory, or just check up the latest updates or some of the demos that you saw today. Be sure to check for the links in the description. If you like this episode, go ahead, give it a like, leave us a comment, and let us know what you're doing with these new Azure Data Factory updates. And we hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.